Welcome, Dr. Joe Childs. So Dr. Joe Childs is the current principal at Mitchell High School in South Dakota. He was previously serving as a principal for 2 elementary schools before becoming a high school principal. He's also served as the president of the South Dakota Association of Elementary School Principals and currently remains an active board member. With his innovative work involving Swivl, Dr. Childs has solved some of his school's most pressing issues involving remote learning, eliminating the need for substitute teachers, and creating best practice libraries for continued teacher education. Welcome, Joe Childs. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Thanks.
So first, I'd love to hear sort of how you found Swivl, your Swivl story, and how you started in implementing it into your school.
Yeah, great. My Swivl story. So here's my Swivl story. This might be unique, but the Swivl happened by accident for me. So I was doing some grad school work actually, and had some things that I needed to get finished with. And rather than typing up long essays and such, I decided to share some of the projects that I'd been working on through a video. And so I met with my professor, and we went through the video. And at the end of the discussion, she asked if I'd used a Swivl to record the video. Well, I hadn't. I'd actually precariously set an iPad on top of a plant stand and kind of worked my mojo with that and got it all situated. Definitely wasn't a Swivl, and you could tell by the final product actually. But so we began talking about the Swivl. I looked it up online. I just did some real quick research and found a video that you folks had posted. And some of the practices taking place in the video just still resonate with me now. And it showed students in classrooms, and they were turning up the volume and listening to their classmates speak and listening to the teacher speak and things. And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. I could use this here. And my first thought was, I'm going to get rid of substitute teachers. And so that was a little outside the box, and it was something that's been on my mind for a while. I just didn't realize that it would take a tool like that or something that would come about so swiftly. So the idea was that I would use this technology to capture the audio video of a classroom, and instead of teachers hiring a sub, they would hire their Swivl. Their Swivl would capture their lessons, and students would log onto their computers and watch lessons in the teacher's absence.
Were the teachers hesitant or fearful at all of recording?
So I mean, the folks that are listening to the video that are currently working in schools probably already know that there's, you have your truth tellers, you have these teachers in your school that'll tell you the dirty, ugly truth no matter what. Those teachers oftentimes are the change agents in the school. They're they get the most traction, and they've got the skills to pay the bills, right? So when I first came about this, I called 3 of those folks in. 3 people that I knew would say, like, Joe, you're an idiot, or there's no way this is going to work, or, I'll try this, but I'm too busy, and so is everyone else. So I called those 3 teachers in first and said, would you be interested in piloting this? I showed them the video. I told them kind of what my idea is. One of them looked at me dead in the eye and said, this is what I've been looking for my whole career. A veteran teacher. I'll probably talk about this person as we go on, but when they got the Swivl, I was up here on a Saturday and actually bumped into them in the classroom. They were practice teaching. They had recorded a few lessons, didn't really like it, weren't feeling it, didn't think they were doing as well as they thought they were after watching themselves teach. And so they were practicing their craft on a Saturday, which has never happened. I mean, here's a 26-year veteran teacher in his classroom on a Saturday, practice teaching.
Wow. Did that happen with the rest of your teachers? Did they get really?
They all got into it in their own way. I selected teachers from all different curriculum. So one of them was I would say a younger teacher. I mean, had been in teaching now for like 7 years, and the other 2 were veteran teachers, and I mean, up to speed with technology, but not tech gurus by any means. There was no hesitation about what the tool could do. Maybe just making sure that they knew how to use it, but there hadn't been a lot of questions about how until we got started. And then, what if it could do this or what if it could do that? And then we started working with you folks to answer those questions. But no real hesitation on that. We just, those three got the swivels and rolled their sleeves up and got after it. So.
Do you think your teachers felt better supported after being able to like share their teaching and gain feedback from their teachers and from their administrators like you and their mentors in school?
Well, I think if we're honest about it, it takes a certain amount of confidence before you're ready to record yourself teaching a class and then show it to the world, right? So you have to have a certain amount of, not arrogance, but just confidence in what you're doing, because it's going to be right there in front of you. How you present yourself and the way you talk and the way you react and the way you respond to questions and things is going to be right out there in front of everybody. So I think the teachers, from a PD standpoint, after they got the first couple out of the way, they started realizing, hey, I have some phrasing things. I say a lot or whatever. There wasn't that nightmarish, like, oh my gosh, I'm going to see this awful teaching thing. That dissipated quickly. They realized there were some things they could work on. They realized that it had nothing, that I was not trying to catch anything, like from an administrative standpoint. I wanted kids to be able to get the lessons. I wanted to move forward with maybe not having substitute teachers in the classroom. And once they got comfortable with what I wanted and comfortable with the technology and seeing themselves teach, it went by pretty quickly. And then just to kind of cut back around, making sure that I had those three people that were going to help change the climate and the culture of what we were doing. The rest of the teachers were going to be on board once they come out and say, this works, and here's how, here's why, and this is what you can expect. So that made all the difference too.
You mentioned PD sessions. Have you had your school integrated Swivl into your professional development?
That happened slowly, but we did. And I can think of a couple just real specific examples. So all of us watching the video that are in education realize that we have to do mandatory training. So our district is no different, has to do mandatory trainings. And I come from a district of about 2,700 students. It's a larger district in South Dakota, but not large by any means. But because of the size of our faculty and staff, it's not common that 100% of us are going to be attending that one-shot mandatory training. So we've used the Swivl device to capture that. We can download it so folks can watch it then and make sure that we've covered our bases with mandatory trainings. Recently, we just built and finished a performing arts center, and we used the Swivl to capture the training for the soundboard and light system and things like that. We're not all going to be around forever, but now we've got this video archived of the soundboard and the light structure and everything else. So when folks come in, need to know how to do it, they can take the training or a refresher. So those are just a couple ways.
Yeah. Do you think sort of save your teachers time then?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that it saved us time, but it's probably in a better response, it's focused our time. So, we're probably still utilizing the same amount of time preparing and doing things, but we may use it in a better way than we would have before. Might put it in like I said, we've had time now to reflect on what it is we need to do. And even if you go back to the mandatory training, instead of spending our time retraining somebody, but now we can spend our time in other ways. But
so, like, speaking of reflection and sort of building up what works best, so your teachers, have they built up their best practice libraries? Is it helping them?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. So like I said, last year we started with 3 Swivl devices, and this year I think we have 32 in our building, which was possible through some grant work and things, and just selling some folks on the idea of having them. So all of our science, tech, engineering, math teachers have them, and it's been a process, but we're building the library. So this year, each of those 32 teachers uses it. We're on a block scheduling, so we have we have an A-B schedule. We have black days and gold days because we're the Mitchell Colonels, black and gold, yay. And so we have a lead day. So like on a black day, you teach a lesson, and then on a gold day, you teach the same lesson to a different group of students. So teachers for sure are recording their lead lesson days, which means that, okay, so you're in a science class and you do an experiment and it turns out one way on a black day and a different way on a gold day, and now you can record those episodes and share them with the classes and talk about here were the differences. Or I'm going to kind of speed into a different topic here, but in another way that's happened, the best practices library is that we have students now that are missing class time and are able to log in and watch classes that they miss, which is probably, it's unarguably the best unintended positive outcome that we've had with Swivl. You know, it showed up right away in golf. Golf is definitely a sport that takes kids out of the class.
Yeah.
I mean, the golfers that are listening, you don't turn the lights on a golf course and play at night. It just doesn't work for high school golf. So the kids are out of school pretty much the whole day. Well, with the Swivl device and teachers recording their classroom teaching, they can post their lessons or their videos online. Kid can pull it up on his phone on the bus ride home and watch everything that they missed in chemistry class before they even get off the bus. So those things, building the libraries, that will happen. I would love to see it where it looks like we have 17 participants, where the 17 people on here all get hooked up with Swivl. All of us start just hammering out some just awesome lesson plans. We get these in some kind of data warehouse, some kind of inventory, so that we can all just learn from one another. And my worst day can be your best day of whatever it is that you recorded. That would be ideal. We're working on that here because the teachers that I have using Swivl will continue to do that. And, you know, eventually they'll have years and years of inventory with videos from different lessons.
Do you think the specialized best practice libraries in your school are better than like best practice libraries you might purchase? I know those are things that schools can find from companies, but do you think it's better when teachers are making their own?
I don't know if it's better. I think that it certainly is an easier sell, and you like to think that they might be, you know, if you're thinking about your own stuff, they might be particular to your students, to your clientele, and what you're doing, your craft. So I think from that standpoint, they're probably better or more usable, or solvable.
Are they using those libraries to get rid of substitute teachers? Is that how you've done it? I'd love to hear sort of like
right. So like I said, ideally this was to get rid of subs. So if you work in a school district and your teacher's gone and you hire a sub, and all of us listening are we're probably in education, right? So can all of us listening teach physics? Probably not. Okay, we're all educators, but maybe none of us can teach physics. So if I'm subbing in a physics classroom, the best positive outcome is that I don't have to yell at anybody to be quiet. So the best day, there's really no learning that happens or no teaching that happens. The best day is there's no trouble, which seems just ridiculous, especially when we have this kind of technology. So now my best day, and again, if you want, hire a sub, but they can facilitate this video class instead of just telling the kids to be quiet and read a book or whatever. So teacher teaches a lesson, you can queue up the video, they can watch this lesson, and students are expected to do whatever kind of work they would when the teacher's there. For us, the makeup of our school is the freshmen are pretty much locked down in the school. They don't have a lot of flexibility to leave and things. Sophomores already have some open campus privileges. Juniors, some of them have open hours, open campus privileges. They leave at lunch, and the same with seniors. So if I'm looking at it from my standpoint, we already have our one-to-one laptop. So the kids all have their technology. We have a tech center here, the media center, the library. We have some common spaces. So instead of having kids sit in the classroom with a sub, we don't hire a sub. We just say the expectation is that you'll log into your physics and you'll watch the lesson and you'll do what the teachers asked you to do, and you'll be responsible for that material tomorrow or the next class period. So
and the results of that program are successful?
yeah, I mean, the results, you're always going to find the bottom 5%, some of the at-risk or some of the students who might be more reluctant learners and things, and we can dwell on that 5%, but for the most part, the students will do what's expected, and if this is what's expected, they'll do it. Just a quick segue. So like I said, when we started, we had 3 teachers do this, and when we registered for classes, I actually took emails from parents who said, I want my kid in a Swivl class.
Wow.
The kids had actually gone home and evidently talked about the Swivl, and the parents were already seeing benefit that, this is something that we want to do. And just a little bit more on that. Kids, I already know that the kids in our high school will go home and watch videos if they don't understand something taught in class. They'll Google it and they'll watch a video, just like we do if we want to put in a new receptacle because the fuse keeps blowing. So we watch a video, figure out how to do it, and we're like, yep, I can do that, and we do it. So what better to watch a video from your actual teacher rather than just Google it? So now we're making that available.
So do you think this technology or video in general better engages kids rather over traditional learning materials?
Well, it just gives them more opportunities to grasp the information that we're giving them. Technology in general, just the technology allows us to learn more than just what the teacher knows. I mean, you go back in time and what you know is whatever your teacher knew, because that's all they could teach you. So technology in general now just allows us to learn all kinds of things beyond what our teacher knows. What the Swivl provides is just more opportunities to grasp that information that we feel is crucial.
I know we've talked a little bit about the different types of classes you were able to offer with Swivl, not necessarily classes that were live and your hybrid classes. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that has impacted graduation rates?
Right. So we have a strong graduation rate anyway, and so that certainly wasn't one of our main objectives, but it is definitely an improvement when we're able to offer a hybrid class, or that's what I call it just by default. So we have classes that students will take that are for the most part they're virtual, or they're getting their education through their technology, through their device, and so they're watching the videos and keeping up with that. But the teacher does have office time when they can meet with students. So we like to say that the students checking in every couple weeks, or we have a teacher checking up on them if things aren't getting turned in or aren't getting completed, and is available for questions. But for the most part, it's student driven, and that works for some of us. Some of our students are able to make that work. Our school offers several hundred dual credit courses as well that operate pretty similarly. This instead of being like dual credits available to juniors and seniors, but the Swivl is a way for students that are freshmen and sophomores even to get engaged in the same type of learning opportunities that they'll see when they're upperclassmen.
So have you had positive results in giving students more control?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think when you get to the high school, and especially when students have come out of their freshman year, I think that we could all agree that they're in touch with their own metacognition, and they for the most part understand how they learn, and they know what they're capable of. They know, like, I kind of need someone to keep a thumb on me, and that's not going to work out for me, or maybe their parents are kind of directing them a little bit, and we have some real self-starters that could do this whole deal online and not have any stumble at all. And then the hybrid is kind of just an in-between class, so they still got the comfort of a face-to-face person when they need it, and the flexibility of technology when they want it. So.
And you talked a little bit about using Swivl for students who are missing class because of golf. Do you have students who are using Swivl for extracurricular events that they might have to miss classes? Like, how does that work at your school?
So I mean that in that way, this gets used an awful lot. So we have, at our high school, we have just north of 800 students. I can't give you a figure for how many of them participate in extracurriculars, but it's a strong number. And some of our sports that are the culprits of robbing kids for the entire day, like golf or tennis, that's one thing. But we've got kids leaving for various reasons, even doctor's appointments or ill parents or bereavement leave or whatever it could be. And this offers, again, another opportunity for students to engage or get caught up, or for a lesson to be reiterated, or for them to listen to it just again. Maybe they didn't even miss class, but it is definitely being used a good deal in that way. Many of our teachers that post this on their page have a way that they're counting how many times it's viewed, and so they're telling me like, yep, this lesson is being viewed 100 times, or this lesson is being viewed 50 times, or whatever. So they know that students are watching it. And then it's nice to know that when I'm receiving emails of parents requesting teachers that have Swivl, they want the Swivl teacher, I know that the parent is seeing benefit in how it's used and how their students use it. So.
Do you think that they're seeing benefits because the teachers have learned something from seeing their interactions with the students on the video? How has that sort of changed, that they're not just able to see their teaching, but they can see how they interact with students, how students are interacting with each other? Are they getting to know more students that they might necessarily not have known that weren't speaking up in class?
Right. I know that will be. I know that that's a factor. I don't have a lot of discussions like that with my teachers, because I want them to be comfortable using it, instead of thinking that I would, I have no intention of critiquing anything that they're recording or whatever. I know that they're their own biggest critic, though. I know that they're watching their video and they're looking at it and saying like, wow, I got to improve these questioning techniques, or I'm just not getting around the room like I thought I was. Wow, I didn't realize that this was happening or that was happening. And you'll probably get into the specifics of how you use the markers and the microphones and such. But now that we have teachers that are using multiple markers in the classroom, they're realizing like, wow, like this group of students works really well together. This group doesn't really work well together. And so they're capturing some of that audio, so it's improving how they put groups of kids together, where they place them, and how long they give them to talk, and what they give them to talk about. So
yeah.
Everything.
Oh, sorry. Have you tried bookmarking yet? Just wondering, because that's another one of our recent time-saving features.
I didn't catch that. What is it? The bookmarking?
Bookmarking, so that they're able to actually like mark a moment, and then they can let you can let mentors know the important moments in their class they want you to see.
I don't know. I don't know if they are using the bookmarking or not. I know they're all real sharp professional people, but so they probably are, but I don't know if
it's pretty new. It's been out for almost 2 weeks, so hopefully we'll see if that saves you guys some time in the future. So have your teachers sort of been better able to form relationships with their students, have you noticed? Are they?
Yeah, I think it gives them something to talk about. So flipping the classroom is kind of a, that's kind of a catchphrase now, that they're flipping the classroom. It certainly gives them academic material to discuss. So, students pick up on everything. So they'll watch the video and they'll pick up on mannerisms. So it certainly gives them some kind of humor, some banter back and forth about what they see their teacher do or say or whatever, and what a student says or does. And it definitely gives them some academic material to discuss. Like, I watched that video 3 times and we're talking about protons and neutrons. I just really don't understand what you're talking about there. So from that standpoint, those are the conversations that I hear. The teachers in the classroom would be the real experts, but I only see positives. And for an administrator, most of the decisions we make, in fact, some of the decisions we're making, we're just picking the lesser of 2 evils. This, in my opinion, there is no downside to this. It doesn't take you any time. It's inexpensive. It doesn't require any additional work. There are only positives that are coming from using Swivl. I don't know. I can't think of any downside to using it. So,
did you have any challenges at all implementing your program?
Once I got the three key teachers on board, no. I mean, there were little hiccups and those were just, how we were saving our video or how we were downloading it. I mean, they worked through that with you folks and the tech people if they needed to, or worked with one another. But again, that's why I picked those three people, because they're not making excuses. They just get it done. They find a way to get it done. And so they provided the PD for the other teachers that are now using it, the 29 additional teachers. So we did PD at the beginning of the year. We used Swivl to capture the PD that we did, and so we're all just happy.
Is there anything you wish that Swivl could do that doesn't yet do in your school?
No, I mean, so just one of the things that I just want to see is I'm just really interested in some kind of a warehouse where we can shop and look for just the right kind of thing. Maybe it's like when I go to Cabela's and I'm looking for the right kind of stuff. I may not need any of it or think I need any of it, but when I happen upon it, I just can't live without it. And so I'd sure like to be able to go or have my teachers be able to go and look at these lessons that other people do, or these ideas that other teachers have, and be able to borrow some of them, steal some of them, take the whole thing, little pieces of parts of it or whatever. There's just so many folks just doing awesome stuff that it just seems silly that we can't figure out a way to teach one another better than we are.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see innovation in education, working with Swivl, being able to talk to so many educators and see what each educator is doing in their school that might be so different from another educator. You guys get so creative with your uses of Swivl. It's wonderful and amazing. So everybody out there, if you have questions, please feel free to start asking them. You can ask them in the chat room, and there's also a little Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. We do have one quick first question about how videos are uploaded so that students can watch them. So I can help you out here a little bit. The students, yes, so students can both have the app and both be sent directly a link and watch it on the Swivl app. Swivl is really secure. Is insofar as protecting teachers' data, protecting student data. This is, we don't make these links public unless you make them public. Teachers also don't have to share their videos until they're ready to share their videos. So when we're talking about peer-to-peer sharing, when we're talking about sharing with students and substitute teachers, this is after a teacher has already said, I'm okay with what I created. Now I want feedback. Now I want to share. Now I want to see how better I can be. And so it's really easy for students to be able to see the videos that their teachers are creating. Is there anything else is there any other cool things you're doing in your school? Your school seems so technically innovative. I'd love to.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We're always looking for ways to improve what we do. Swivl just allowed us to do some of the things that we knew we wanted to do. We just didn't realize there was something out there that could help us like this. So I would encourage that if you're thinking about it, to get 2, 3, 4, dozen, whatever it is, to give to the teachers that are going to tell you the truth about it. And when you have those teachers that are going to say, yep, this is going to work, and this isn't just a hoop that we're having to jump through. This actually works, or this is garbage. I don't have time for it. So
you're not in a rural school district in South Dakota, but there are so many rural school districts around you. Have you seen Swivl used in your rural school districts? Do you think it would be helpful to institute them where students are farther away from schools?
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful. Honestly, I'm not patronizing you. I think this would be helpful in any school district, big or small. Rural school districts, because they're rural, just don't have as many opportunities with some of the educational structure that we have in our school. So it would definitely be helpful for them, because it would be, you might be providing curriculum, coursework that they just don't have. They're either going to get it from Swivl or not get it at all. Well,
Yeah.
so again, I don't see a downside to it. So I mean, even if your argument is that it's online, it's not as good as face to face. If that's the argument, which, okay, is it better than nothing? Yes, it's a heck of a lot better than nothing. And so, can we all learn from it? Yes. So even if I'm teaching face to face, and then I'm watching myself teach and improving my craft, well, that makes it worth it, doesn't it? I mean, for a small price that it costs to implement the technologies, it's a no-brainer.
Have you had remote learners or students who were homebound who were able to continue participating in school because they were able to watch Swivl?
I've never necessarily taken a statistic on that, but I know that we have. I know that we have students that are, I mean, they leave class and then they're at home and they don't remember how to do something, so they watch the video, or they're ill and they watch the video, or they're at a sporting event, so they watch the video, and yeah. So I mean, we definitely have, for whatever reason a kid would be out of school, they can now watch these classroom episodes. And it's as close to being there as actually being there.
So absences aren't sort of as impactful for what you're missing with school, or?
You know, I had somebody ask me if I was concerned that this would be a cause for more absences. It definitely hasn't. Our attendance actually has improved, but maybe due to some other things that we've done to help that cause. But we don't have much absenteeism. We don't have a lot of transient students. So that just kind of maybe comes with being in the Midwest, but I haven't seen that it's had a strong positive or negative impact on attendance. It just gives kids an opportunity to learn when they're not there.
So we have another question. It says, as an instructional coach, I'd like to record master teachers using Harvard Project Zero thinking routines and share the videos with other teachers. In your experience, is there an optimal length of video to illustrate instructional strategies for PD purposes? So for PD sessions, are videos better? Is it better to have a longer PD session video?
Right. So you might be asking the wrong person, but I want to take a stab at this, because I typically can't sit still for very long. But that's what I actually like about the video, because then I can, if it's a long video, I can just pause it and I can do my thing and work out some of my energy for a little bit doing something else, and I go back and hit play and watch it again, or I get lost in some other thought while I'm watching it, and I can rewind it and watch some more of it. I think that our teachers have seen some benefits in having maybe some shorter segments. When they did it at first, they would record the entire lesson from beginning to end. But I think they're finding that it's easier for the student watching to navigate the videos if they're in shorter segments, and it's easier for them to save them. So when there's several topics that are taught, they might just have a brief video for each one of those topics, and then they're finding that it's a little bit easier to save those in a way that they can find them again.
Yeah, microlearning has become sort of a very trendy thing these days, to have very short learning segments, micro-credentialing in higher education, right, using video. Have your teachers recorded shorter lessons for their students, or are they all normal length, classroom length videos?
They're making them short now. They're making their lessons shorter, their video segments shorter, which is typical of how the class goes. We're in a block schedule, so we have our students for nearly an hour and a half in a class period in a block. So, they're probably teachers that can speak for an hour and a half, but they're not. That's just not how they're teaching. So, they've got a lot of different things going on. So they might teach a topic, and then they're stopping the video, and then they might have a video segment where they're doing an experiment, or they're recording part of the group project, and then they stop the video, and then they move on to the next topic, and so on.
So, aside from videos, are there any other trends you've sort of realized in watching your teachers implement this program, or things that they sort of learned?
Yeah, I'm hoping that somebody will share some new ways that they're using technology, or some ideas that they have, and so like our instructional coach that brought a question to us. There's probably some great PD opportunities for an instructional coach, or some great PD that we can record and learn from. continue to learn from.
Are your instructional coaches watching the videos of their teachers, or are they still doing in-person observations?
Well, they do both. Not all of our schools have a Swivl. So our elementary schools have borrowed. We have 3 elementaries in our district, and they've each borrowed one that I purchased, and so they're trying them out, and they like them. So they'll be on the hook now for more to come. But we don't have the luxury of each of our teachers having one in the district. Although they made a pretty big impact at the high school, they haven't at each of the other buildings because of funding and so.
Yeah, just to everybody out there, to instructional coaches, obviously we had a question about instructional coaching. There's definitely a whole bunch of time-saving features we've just released in terms of helping instructional coaches. So that bookmarking feature we were talking about, where teachers can mark important moments, they can mark it both for a student who might be watching the video, but also for an instructional coach that they want feedback at a specific time. And for the teacher, after an instructional coach may go through the video and provide comments, the teacher can do this thing called comment playback, where they can actually just watch those high impact moments where an instructional coach left feedback. So you're really just seeing the important feedback moments, and you're not having to constantly scroll through the video. So obviously, in terms of a student watching a video, this isn't particularly time saving, but in terms of self-reflection and feedback and peer-to-peer support, hopefully we're going to be able to save everybody out there lots of time, especially instructional coaches. We have another question from Douglas, who says video, audio, lighting, sort of like on a scale of 1, is it consistently at a single level? Is it high quality?
So yeah. That's a good question. This is gonna, my answer might sound like I'm getting paid. I'm not getting paid.
No, you are not.
But so I didn't just say, oh, this was the first thing I found. There's actually some other devices that do some similar things to Swivl. They're not nearly as good. In fact, the video, what do you call it? The quality of video is garbage on most of them. And some of them, it's like you're looking through some kind of a fishbowl or something. I mean, it almost makes you ill to look at. It's just too busy. This is far and away the best. So there are problems with lighting occasionally. We've had workarounds though. So here's the problems that we've had with lighting. We use some smartboard technology, and then we just have the projector screens. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have your device set up just right, then you can't read the writing on a presentation screen, or I mean, if it's a PowerPoint or if it's a video or whatever, you just can't read it. So Swivl does allow you to use multiple devices, which is good, because then you can get one set up just perfectly to read the screen, and you can have one that just follows the teacher around.
It also allows you to input PowerPoint slides so that you can input them.
And we do that too. And so at first it took us a little while to get that worked out, but and then they make lenses. You can get the wide range lens and stuff, and we've done all those. We've actually we don't prefer the wide range lens as much. There's probably times that you would use it, and we've got a few, but most of our teachers just use the regular lens that's on it. And the quality is as good of quality as you would expect what you're seeing right now from a computer and iPad. Wouldn't be anything that I would complain about for sure. So
yeah, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today and for being so amazing and implementing Swivl into your school and so creative. I want to thank everybody out there for asking your questions and for joining us as well.